I lost 4,500 in one afternoon. 3 bets, all favorites. All should have won, all lost. And the next thing I did almost destroyed my entire bankroll. I'm going to tell you that story today. What happened, what I did wrong, and the exact framework that I built afterward to make sure it never happened again. Because here's the truth nobody in sports betting talks about. The math is the easy part. Strategy is the easy part. The things that actually destroy bettors, it's what happens between your ears when you watch money disappear. And I'm going to teach you 5 rules that changed everything for me. 5 rules that turned me from someone who would blow up his bankroll every month into someone who wins 80 to 85% of his bets without flinching at the losses. By the end of this video, losing will feel completely different to you. This was a few years ago. I already had the Linemaker method working. I was profitable. I was winning at a high clip, but I hadn't figured out the mental side yet. I had 3 heavy favorites that day. They were all, I think, minus 250 or a little bit higher. All past the checklist, all legitimate, plays with real edge. And I was confident, maybe too confident. The first one lost, okay, that happens, part of the game. The edge is 80, 85%, not 100. I can handle 1 loss. The second one lost. Now I'm down to 2 in a row. 2 losses back to back. Now I'm like, all right, starting to get effective a little bit. Okay, so now what's end up happening is going down to the third one. Third one, so now I've lost all 3. So losing all 3, like, this sucks because now I'm down 4,500. But what happened next was actually rough. Felt it in my chest first. This heat, tightness, my brain started racing. You need to make this money back. There's more games tonight. Let's find something, anything. Let's just try to get that money back. So I did something I teach every single one of my students never to do. I opened the sports book and started scrolling. Not looking for edges, not running the checklist, just looking for bets, any type of bets. I found a game, didn't pass the checklist, I didn't care. I tripled my unit size on that bet. Guess what happened? It ended up losing. So what turned into a bad night turned into a completely disastrous night, all because of the one decision that I made. My emotions hijacked my brain and I self-destructed. And that's the day that I realized that having the best system in the world means nothing if you can't control what's happening in your head. Here's what I learned after that day. What happened to me wasn't weakness. It wasn't a character flaw. It's literally how the human brain is wired. There's a concept in psychology called loss aversion. Scientists have studied it for decades. If I hand you $100, you feel good. But if I take 100 from you, you feel twice as bad. The pain of losing 100 is literally twice as intense as the pleasure of gaining $100. Your brain is wired this way. Mine is too. Everyone is. Now let me show you what this does to a sports bettor using my line making method. Minus 300 odds, let's say every win pays you $16.67 on a $50 bet. Every loss, you lose $50. That's already a 3-to-1 ratio. Losses are 3 times bigger than wins in raw dollars. So a win at minus 300, a little bit over $16. A loss, you lose $50. But remember, loss aversion. Your brain feels losses twice as intense. So that $50 loss doesn't just feel 3 times bigger than the win. It feels 6 times bigger. Actual pain of a win is 1 times. The actual pain of a loss, 3 times. Felt pain of that loss is actually 6x because of loss aversion. So even when you're winning 80 to 85 out of 100 bets, even when your bankroll is going up, your brain is screaming that something is wrong because every loss feels catastrophic, even when it's mathematically meaningless. This is why most bettors quit winning strategies. Not because the strategy stopped working, it's because their brain convinces them it stopped working. Let me show you what a perfect month looks like at 85% and why your brain would still try to convince you it's terrible. A typical month, you put in 80 bets, 85% win rate. 68 of those you win at about $50 per bet. That's a little bit over $16 a piece, a little bit $1,100 that you make. Your 12 losses, that equals 600. Your net profit's 533. Now, great month, but look at what your brain experienced. 12 gut punches that each felt 6 times more intense than any single win. Your brain tallied up 12 awful moments and only remembers those. The 68 wins, they barely registered. That's why you can look at a profitable spreadsheet and still feel like you're losing. The numbers say you're up, but your brain says you're drowning. After that disaster of a night, I sat down and built 5 rules. Not guidelines, not suggestions, rules. Non-negotiable, carved in stone rules that I follow every single day and that every Linemaker Sports student follows from day one. These 5 rules have saved me and my students more money than the method itself. Because the method finds the edge, but these rules make sure you don't destroy yourself before the edge has time to work. Rule number 1 is the 24-hour rule.
After any loss that makes you feel something, any loss where you notice, that heat in your chest, the urge to scroll for another bet, the voice that's saying, come on, let's get this money back, you just stop. Not for an hour, not until the next game, but you completely stop for that 24-hour period. Close the sportsbook app, close the laptop, walk away, come back tomorrow. Now, I know what you're thinking. Frank, there's games tonight. I could find a play with an edge, and I can make it all back. And you might be right. There might be a play tonight that passes the checklist, and it just makes sense. But here's what I've learned over 10 plus years of doing this. The bet you place 20 minutes after a loss is almost never the same quality as the bet you place after sleeping on it. Your standards drop, your checklist gets sloppy, you start seeing edges that aren't really there. And it's because your brain is desperate to repair the damage. With the 24-hour rule, it's not punishing yourself, it's protecting your bankroll from the worst decision that you could make, to be honest. 20 minutes after a loss, your brain is not in the right shape of mind. It's thinking, I need to get it back. This game looks good. I'll just bet a little bigger this time. Your brain 24 hours after a loss experiences that loss was within expected variance. Does today's play pass that checklist? Is the standard unit size I'm going to use that same process. See the difference? Same brain, same person, but 24 hours of distance turns an emotional wreck into a rational operator. That one rule alone would have saved me a ton of money on my worst day. Number 2 is commit to your unit size, okay? And pre-commit to your unit size. Before the day starts, before you even look at the board, you decide your unit size based on your bankroll. And that number does not change for any reason during that day. Not after a win, not after a loss, not after 3 wins, not after 3 losses. The unit was set before emotions entered the picture. It stays locked in. So no matter what, you base off of your percentages on that day what your unit size is going to be for that bet. Here's why this matters. The moment you change your bet size randomly based on how you feel, not by the numbers, you've left the system. You're no longer operating with a mathematical edge. You're gambling, and gamblers lose. Remember that. My personal disaster, it happened because I tripled my units after a bad stretch. If I had just kept my units locked in, I would have been able to at least not lose as much money. I would have recovered it in 3 days of normal betting. Instead, it took me weeks to get that money back. The pre-commit rule makes it impossible to self-destruct in a single session. And for favorite bettors, where losses are 3 times the size of wins, that protection is everything. Number 3, the loss budget. This one changed my relationship with losing completely. Before every month starts, I calculate my loss budget. At 80 to 85% win rate, minus 200 to minus 500 odds, I know that roughly 15 out of every 100 bets will lose. I know each loss costs 3 times what a win pays. So I can calculate exactly how many units I'm expected to lose. So it sounds like this. Expected losses, 12 bets, 15%. Cost per loss is 1 unit. Total expected losses, 12 units. This is not a surprise. This is the plan. Those losses in a month, that's not a disaster. 12 losses, that's the budget. I planned for it. I expect it. And when those losses show up, and they will, I don't flinch at it because they were in the budget. It's like a business. Every business has an expense sheet. A restaurant expects to spend money on ingredients. They don't panic every time they buy flour. It's a cost of doing business. Your losses are the cost of doing business. When you budget for them in advance, they stop feeling like emergencies and start feeling like line items on a spreadsheet. The month I started budgeting for losses was the month I stopped chasing, because you don't chase when the loss was already in the plan and you expected it. Let's get to number 4. Judge the process, not the results. This is the hardest rule to internalize, and it's the most important one. So make sure you listen carefully. A good bet can lose. A bad bet can win. You can run the checklist perfectly, find a real edge, bet the correct unit size, get the best available line, do everything right, and that bet could still lose because 85% is not 100%. 80% is not 100%. That 15 to 20% is going to show up, and when it does not mean you made a bad decision. Now, good bet, good result. Good bet, bad result. Bad process, bad bet. Lucky result, bad bet. Look at that grid. Most bettors only see 2 boxes. Win means I'm smart, loss means I'm dumb. But there are 4 boxes. And the one that matters the most is the good process, bad result. When you make a good bet and it loses, nothing went wrong. It's variance, and variance happens. The math hasn't changed. The edge hasn't disappeared. You did everything right, and the 15% showed up. The day you stop judging yourself by results and start judging yourself by the process is the day you become unbreakable, because results fluctuate. The process doesn't. Number 5, the spreadsheet is your therapist. When emotions are screaming, the spreadsheet whispers the truth. After every loss, especially a bad streak, I don't check my feelings. I check the spreadsheet. And the spreadsheet tells me 3 different things. 1, your actual win rate over the last 100 plus bets. Not the last 3 bets, not the last bad day. Number 2, your P&L since you started. You just lost $150 today, let's say. But the spreadsheet shows you're up $4,200 over the last 3 months. That $150 is 3.5% of your total profit. It's a rounding error. But without the spreadsheet, that $150 feels like the end of the world. Number 3, whether this losing streak is within normal variance, at 85%, when you're winning 80 to 85%, a 3-bet losing streak happens roughly once every 20 days. That's more than once a month. It's completely normal. But it feels rare because loss aversion makes each one feel enormous. Here's what the spreadsheet does that your brain can't. It removes recent bias. Your brain remembers the last few bets. The spreadsheet remembers all of them. And then you zoom out from the last 3 bets to the last 300. The picture looks completely different. Your brain's view is loss, loss, loss. But the spreadsheet's view is over the last 300, 255 and 45 losses equals 85% win rate. System is working perfectly. The same reality, 2 completely different stories. Your brain is lying to you. The spreadsheet isn't. Every single Linemaker Sports student tracks every single bet that they do. Not because I'm a data nerd, although I kind of am, because the spreadsheet is the only thing that can override your emotions in that moment. When your gut says this isn't working, you open the spreadsheet and it says you're up 4,200. Let me tie this all together with something I think about every single day. Have you ever watched someone hit a huge jackpot at a casino? The lights flash, the sirens go off, the whole floor turns to look what happened. The casino just paid out $50,000 to that person. And what does the pit boss do? He does nothing. He doesn't flinch, doesn't sweat, doesn't shut down the table, doesn't change the rules, because the pit boss knows something that the jackpot winner doesn't. The pit boss knows that the edge hasn't changed. One payout doesn't change the math. Over the next 10,000 bets, the casino will make that $50,000 back and more. The jackpot is a line item, a cost of doing business. It was in the budget. That's you. When you follow the Linemaker method with these 5 rules, you are the pit boss. A loss shows up, you don't flinch. A 3-bet losing streak, guess what? It's the cost of doing business. It was in the budget. You check your spreadsheet, you confirm the process was right. You come back tomorrow with locked units and a clear head, and you let the math do the math. The gambler panics after a loss. The house doesn't. You're the house. Remember that. I want to be honest with you about something. The 5 rules that I just taught you, I didn't learn them from a book. I learned them from blowing up my bankroll multiple times. Every rule exists because I broke it first. The 24-hour rule exists because I chased. The pre-commit rule exists because I tripled my unit on one play. The loss budget exists because I used to treat every loss like an emergency. The process rule exists because I used to beat myself up after every losing bet. And the spreadsheet rule exists because I used to make decisions based on my last 3 bets instead of my last 300. Now, I built the Linemaker method to find the edge, but I built these 5 rules to protect it, because the edge means nothing if you destroy yourself before it has time to work. Now, if you want to learn the full method, how I find mispriced heavy favorites, how I win 80, 85%, and how I manage the bankroll and psychology that makes it all sustainable, all you have to do is click the link in the description. And if you've ever blown up your bankroll because you chased, or you tripled down on a bet after a loss, or quit a winning strategy because it was a bad week and it felt like a bad year, drop a comment down below. Tell me your story, because I promise you, you're not alone. I've been there. Every profitable bettor I know has been there. The difference is what you do after. Feel the loss, follow the rules, but trust the math. I'll see you guys in the next video.